Have you ever met the Connector? Well, he ponders, he helps, he creates, he writes, he speaks. He basically connects people and brings them together. I speak about Paul Solano of PS and All Marketing Group. At psandallmarketinggroup.com, you will receive an assembled group of Paul's contacts and connections that cross into many sectors of life. Please contact Paul Solano at 617-240-4130 or psandallmarketinggroup@gmail.com if you are in the market for a wide array of services. Again, please contact the Connector, Paul Solano at 617-240-4130 or psandallmarketinggroup@gmail.com with any questions. And now, here's Paul Solano, the host of Paul Ponders.
Welcome to Paul Ponders. My name is Paul Solano of PS and All Marketing Group, and I may be reached via email at paul@paulponders.com. Thank you for joining me for my foray into podcasting. It is great to be collaborating with my friend and associate Chalonzo Amos of PodPro Entertainment to bring you some fun, exciting, and informative podcasts. For many years, I've been referred to as the Connector, or in Greater Boston circles as the Connector. With psandallmarketinggroup.com, I've created a Sidekick to connect you and get things done. Please sit back and relax and listen to today's podcast. If you are driving or operating heavy machinery and just listening, then please just listen and stay focused on your task at hand. Thanks again for listening. Enjoy my ponderings. Let #PaulPonders begin.
Greetings, everyone. How is everyone doing today? Welcome to another fabulous episode of #Paul Ponders. It's really great to have you joining us. Again, as I always say, thank you so much for rating, reviewing, and subscribing to #Paul Ponders. Techie Talonzo in the control booth has made this quite possible with his PodPro Entertainment in collaboration with PS and All Marketing Group and #Paul Ponders. Now, many people will stop me. I say it all the time. Paul, great episode. Awesome job. Doing a great job. You have wonderful guests. Well, this episode is no different. In fact, this episode is really a very special episode in that I've come to know a wonderful person through a great connection, great friend. And I just want to invite for this episode, Mr. Scot Albertson to step forward. Scot Albertson, welcome.
Buenas noches, señor. Otra vez.
Another time. Yes, indeed. Buenas noches para tú y muy bueno.
Muchas gracias,
señor. I didn't expect that one. Wow, where did that... De nada, indeed. I wonder, ¿cómo se dice indeed in español?
I have no idea. I guess you could say indeed.
No idea. That's what you see. Yeah, that's what you call a deer with no eyes. No idea.
Oh, no.
And also on the podcast platform is Mr. Paul Sieswerda Jr. of Gotham. PJ, welcome.
Hola, how are you guys?
Estoy bien.
Happy to be on again.
Great to have you on, PJ. And PJ is the event director of a great organization out of Staten Island called Gotham. PJ, welcome back. You were on with your dad many episodes ago, one of our earlier episodes, and it was a really great episode that we had featuring Gotham. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Scot Albertson, welcome. It's really great to have you on. You have a website called scotalbertson.com, Scott with one T, and on your website, you're a vocalist, you're a performer, you're a producer, you're an artistic director. You have a project called Project 142 that we'll be hearing a lot about. You're an internet sensation. You're one of the best marketing gurus I know, but really after spending a couple of events and some time with you last week, you're just a great person, and it was so nice to get to know you. You're a genuine person, and it's great to have you on. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you, Paul. We had so much fun last Wednesday night and certainly at the ball game on Saturday. Thank you again for inviting me to that.
You're welcome. So, Scott, tell us about Project 142. We'll start off with that, and then we'll get into your illustrious career. But tell us about Project 142 and what it's all about, please.
Project 142 was started in 2010 by a retired minister in New York City. His name is Dick Leonard, and Dick passed about a year ago, and he was 95 when he passed. And Dick, what he did was he opened up his home, which was at 66th and West End Avenue by Lincoln Center in New York City. He opened up his home for musicians and artists to come on to his home and perform, make concerts. He didn't charge them for the space. He had lunch, he had some wine, he had soft drinks, he had ice cream bars. It was really, really lovely. And it held probably like about 20 people. He had a beautiful upright piano. And the whole idea was if musicians charged $10, $15, $20 to come per person, they kept all the money. So they got a free venue. They got all the money from their efforts from performing. And that was how it started. So after a couple of years, it started outliving its space. And Dick had to then find another space to make it happen. He couldn't do it in his home anymore. And I had performed 4 Project 142 concerts in a course of 7 months in his home, myself personally. That's how Dick got to know me. So then Dick hired me on, and there was no website for it. There was no logo for it. There was nothing. There was no social media. So I created all that, created the logo, created the website, and created the social media platform. And through that, then we started doing mobile concerts at beautiful venues in New York City, and that was how it grew from there. And we did that for another 8 years, and then the pandemic hit, and then that's when I started the YouTube series, or the video series, as you know now, and we started that April 28th, 2020.
That is super, and that's a great history and a great summation of how Project 142 came to be. Paul Sieswerda Jr. had introduced me to you, and he introduced me to your YouTube channel and your platform. And PJ, if you want to tell our listeners how you came to meet Scott.
Well, I would be glad to do that. And I'm very pleased and blessed to have Scott as a friend and a promoter of Gotham Whale, or a good affiliate, as far as he found us on the internet, and he researches all sorts of nonprofits. We have that in common, the nonprofit world and supporting one another. He found my dad's organization on the internet and thought it was a great thing to bring awareness to New Yorkers and beyond, and get people affiliated with Gotham Whale. And so he was blindly promoting us for a good 9 to 10 months until we met him down at Beneath the Sea, which is a scuba diving expo that happens in Secaucus, New Jersey. He came down from Connecticut and met up with my dad and myself for the first time. It was kismet that he just, like he said on one of his episodes, we're like brothers from another mother. We had a friendship and a bond that we were very blessed to have. The rest is history in the making.
Thank you, PJ, for that wonderful summation as to how you met Scott and why we're all together right now. And as Scott often says, count your blessings, and we really do every day. So, Scott, I just wanted to ask you about your life in New York. Are you situated in New York right now, or what's the situation with New York?
No, I was born and raised in Norwalk, Connecticut. Actually was a police officer there for about 7 years. And now I'm living up in Waterbury, which is up by Hartford, Connecticut. And as far as New York is concerned, with the pandemic that has come through, has affected everybody's life, that's for sure. And New York has been seriously affected by the pandemic. And it's coming out of a very turbulent time. And I think it's going to take a number of years for it to really come around again, meaning New York as a thriving metropolis, that what we knew it as at one point in time.
I see. Well, first of all, thank you for your service in serving in law enforcement. We had a nice chat on Saturday on the way into the Red Sox game, and I got to hear so much about your career, your illustrious career, and really You are so talented, and I was just taken aback the work that you've done. You've performed in clubs, and on your podcast, on your YouTube show on Project 142, Dedication Post-Isolation, you sing so well.
Thank you.
Like, you have a really great singing voice, and you do it a cappella. Tell us about your singing career. We'll start off with that.
In 2005, I started performing in New York City from zero. I had no previous experience. I've loved music all my life. I was in a boys' choir many moons ago, and we used to travel and compete internationally. We actually sang in St. Peter's Basilica in Rome at one point in time, and we performed in Germany, we performed in Holland, we performed in Canada. But that was a long time ago, and I hadn't done anything with music for 28 years, and I just jumped off the deep end, started performing in the city in 2005, and performed right up until the pandemic hit in March of 2020. I used to perform anywhere from 2 to 3 times a month in New York City in the tri-state area.
That's fabulous. And if you take a look at ScotAlbertson.com, that's Scott with one T, you'll see that you have the listening room, and you got some albums that you have. And it's really something that I do encourage our listeners to log into and just check out Scott's wonderful works of yesteryear and today. Now, PJ, speaking about song, last week we had the Ocean's Angel documentary, and
Yes.
we had a couple of musicians on there.
And this is the ironic situation here with Scott, meeting us down at Beneath the Sea. And the first day I met this wonderful gentleman, he sang a song to me and my dad that literally brought tears to our eyes, I have to say. It was just simply beautiful. And this is kind of the mantra of Ocean's Angels, is the connections between song, music, and just the human connection that's really brought me into a new light of understanding how to connect with people through song and just conversation like we're doing now. In Ocean's Angels, we had some musicians carrying cross. A friend of mine, Michael Fitzmyer, Michelle Wallace, their son performed with their band at the Anchor. The weather was just unbelievable. Couldn't ask for a better day, night. And we showed the film when the stars came out, and my father, Fiona, and Roger Payne really drove it home with their songs from The Humpback, which Roger Payne does. He recorded the song of The Humpback and connected with Wales back in the late 60s, early 70s. And Fiona Middleton plays the violin to seals out in Scotland. And just my father's work in Gotham, Wales has gotten us so many connections, like the filmmaker Rand Levy, Chiara Espinella, the artist that did the poster board for us for both showings of Ocean's Angels, Zach Cliver, Jonathan Caruso. Just so many people we've been touched by this movie. Christopher Jarvis, and of course, Scott. So it's really, really a blessing, and we're counting them.
Without a doubt. Now, Scott, on your Project 142 show on your YouTube channel, besides singing, you're often playing musical instruments. What musical instruments do you play?
I don't play. Chip Fabrizi, who is the owner of PPI Recording Studio in New York City and Manhattan, where we've been recording since we started April 28, 2020. So Chip has had that studio for 44 years, I believe. And Chip is originally a professional drummer. So periodically, Chip will jump in with percussion, whether it be a tambourine or a shaker or castanets or something. We always change it up. But every once in a while, I'll have a guest on, whether it be a pianist or we had a young fella on about a month ago who was 17 years old, who was a jazz trumpeter or a jazz trombonist. I'm sorry. And I showcased him because he has a GoFundMe trying to raise money for his education. So I had him on as a guest, and we actually did music together, trombone and voice only. And that's unheard of. Very different.
Very, very entertaining.
Yeah, and
I
a lot
must
of fun.
say. PJ, do you have to chime in?
Yeah, this is for Chip from Breezy. We need more cowbell.
I'll pass that along. But it's cool.
Please do.
Do you have a Gotham Wheel hat on?
You know, I do. I don't have one tonight. No, I don't. But I have plenty. I have one for Chip, too, a red one
You
coming
know what it
his
really
way.
is the fact of, with your life, Paul, Solano, or PJ, is if you're on the right path of your life, we talked about this on Saturday when we went to the ball game. If you're on the right path of your life, life will give you what you need to get where you have to go as you're on that path. And this is a prime example because with Project 142, all the years of performing and all the years of being just the booker, because I don't perform in Project 142. I just host it and promote it. And when we do live concerts, I just host. I just start it and I end it, introduce the musicians that are performing. But it's with all those years of doing all that, that's why I can do now the video series, because I have so much marketing experience from doing live concerts and my own gigs that now we've opened it up to Gotham Whale, for example. And now Paul, we've been doing Paul Ponders. We started that in April. I've been pushing your series, your podcast series.
And you really have, and I want to thank you for that, Scott. So appreciated in getting the word out there. I call myself the connector. I call you the connector as well. And you really are doing a great job, really connecting so many nonprofits, so many different groups, and I applaud you for that.
It's a lot of fun, and that's the continuum of music. You know, I've done many concerts and gigs over the years personally, and usually during a performance, I'll lean into whomever I'm working with, and I'll just say to them, man, it's music. If you're not having fun, don't bother doing it. Because that's what music is supposed to be. It's supposed to be fun. Yeah.
How true.
It's supposed to be fun. That's the whole point of it.
It really is. I remember us chatting about maybe a rebranding of your YouTube series, the Dedication Post-Isolation. If you want to let our listeners know about a rebranding that's coming up.
Thank you, Paul, for mentioning that. So what's happened is it started out as Dedication in Isolation because it was right at the height of the pandemic that we started the series, meaning Chip and I, meaning the weekly video series. So after we came through the actual pandemic, then I changed it to Dedication Post-Isolation because we weren't in isolation anymore. So now it's going on to the next generation of it, if you will, and it's going to be called Dedication Around the Nation because I've been promoting so many different organizations from different parts of the United States and certainly from other parts of the world as well. So it's gone well beyond just starting out as Dedication in Isolation back in April of 2020.
Sort of like in Infinity and Beyond with a Buzz Lightyear, I would say, right?
Yeah, because I say that in every video. Right. And beyond. Yes, exactly. But that's what led me to Gotham Whale.
Absolutely. I think it's really just so important just to reach out to so many of those nonprofits, and your career has put you in touch with many nonprofits across the board. Another nonprofit that we're starting to do some work with is the Wildlife Conservation Film Festival. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, I was privileged to meet Christopher Jabez, and he came up to watch the film and see if he could get it into his New York venue. We're working on that. He's got some things going on with the New York venue that he has to handle. There's some talks of maybe bringing it to Boston instead of New York because there's some complications. We're working with that. Fascinating man, got a lot of knowledge around wildlife conservation, and he shares the same passion to save creatures that need attention. Was really impressed by all his knowledge this past weekend when he came up to watch the film.
That's super. And it's really, again, important for us to continue the great work that we're doing, just reaching out and promoting nonprofits and each other in this world of what's out there in social media. So, Scott, you've seen social media just grow and blossom. What are your thoughts about so many different websites and different platforms out there changing, emerging?
The beautiful part of social media is for an independent artist or organizations such as Gotham Whale, for example, or Paul Ponders, purely, is the fact that it gives you the access to do self-promotion. And you can take that as far as you want it. That's the beauty of it. It depends on how much time and energy and work you want to put into it. And it's like anything else. The more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. And you're not relying on anybody else to do it for you. Those days years ago when you would have a record company sign someone on and they would do all the promotion work for you, those days are long gone. Who has that kind of money anymore? Meaning a record company, for example. Very few do. Or very few nonprofits have an unlimited budget that can just spend money on promotion blanketly. So when you have people such as yourself, Paul, meaning Paul Solano and also PJ, that have the attributes to do that kind of work, then social media is your wheelhouse.
It truly is. I think it's just so important just to keep on hammering away at that, if you will, and just be very consistent in that process. And I don't think anyone does it better than you, Scott. You really just do an incredible job with your YouTube channel, but also with ScotAlbertson.com. And I applaud you on that.
I'll give you both some credit along with Techie Talonzo because I'm not a tech person, but I think the art of storytelling is where my platform comes into play a little bit is, trying to tell the story, trying to involve it with as many people as you can. All the people on this show have gotten me to a new level of creating stories, and it's fabulous.
Well, thank you, PJ, for that. And from past experience in dealing with nonprofits and serving on many boards, I think it's really important for us to really just look at the mission, the vision, and the purpose of that nonprofit, and just looking at that widget theory in life. It could be any nonprofit. It could be Gotham Whale. It could be Project 142. It could be the Wildlife Conservation Film Festival. It could be XYZ charity. And I believe that it's really important for us to continue to look at the mission, the vision, and the purpose, and just really build the supporters around that. And I think that Scott, you have just a wonderful outlook in connecting these nonprofits through your website and your YouTube channel. And again, I can't say it enough, but I applaud you for what you're doing with Chip Fabrizi and PPI Productions. So congratulations on that.
Thank you, Paul. Well, a lot of it really boils down to whatever you learn along your path of life. When you die, unfortunately, we're all going to die. I mean, there's no getting around that. But you can't take it with you, right? So it really is the idea like Paul's dad, right? His career spanned so many years of what he did between New England Aquarium, New York City, and then Gotham Whale. And he spread that around not only locally, whether it be New York or Boston, but you saw that so clearly Wednesday night at the Anchor Boston in Charleston, Massachusetts. You saw the interaction with so many different people. There were new people there that didn't know anything about what was going on, and we introduced that to them, and they hung out, and they watched the movie, and they signed the the sign-up list that we had out. Some gave donations, some bought shirts, some bought hats. That's how you plant the seed. That's the consistency of doing the work. And that takes people that are willing to roll up their shirt sleeves and just dig into the trench and go for it.
That is so true. And as I often will say about the passage of time, things I must experience, TIME, it's that incredible journey from the womb to the tomb that is just so awe-inspiring. And if you look at Paul Sieswerda Sr. with his founding of Gotham Whale and making that happen with his board, and I'm happy to say in full disclosure that I was recently appointed to serve on the board of directors of Gotham Whale org. And thank you, PJ. It's really great to be on board. Thank you, Scott. Muchas gracias. It's really great to see that. and to be part of that experience. So I think that's really great. And PJ recently, through some connections, lo and behold, met up with the Orca Man. Now, Paul Sr. is known as the Whale Man. He has the license plate, New York license plate, the Whale Man. But PJ, if you want to tell us about the karma, about the Orca Man, and how he played a role in last week's Ocean Angel performance.
So the Orca Man came by divine intervention or just rolling in the circles of connection through this film. By all places, my daily stop for my coffee in the morning. He used to work at Magnificent Muffin over in Medford, real lover of orca whales. And he's moved out to British Columbia, and he's been studying them and doing TikToks. Happened to be a friend of the Connector. And we've got a thing called Cameo, which when you get to a star status, you can have them do speeches or say happy birthday or sing a song. But we had the Orca Man do a performance for Ocean's Angels at the Anchor, and the connections just keep on coming. It's fascinating, learning a lot about orca whales. We're getting some orca whales in the area now, down off the Cape, something that the Whale Man and the Orca Man really should be discussing and on different things that are going on in our oceans.
I think that's really great, and that connectiveness is, in fact, so important. So as we start to wind down, Scott, I want to thank you again for being on this episode of Paul Ponders, hashtag Paul Ponders. I just want to hear about dedication around the nation one more time. If you want to let our listeners know.
So it's still the same weekly series. I'm just updating it because now we're really out of the pandemic. So now because it's grown in the sense of promotion and marketing and who we're working with. So now it really is dedication around the nation and beyond, of course, just like you were mentioning before. And there's one nonprofit that we started with the new episode this week is a senior dog rescue in Rhode Island called 4 Dogs Senior Animal Rescue. And they just started, meaning they just opened their doors about 4 weeks ago. And they already have 8 dogs and they already have 2 horses that they've saved.
Wow, that's great. That's really great news. So I look forward to hearing more about that charity and that mission. So again, I applaud you on just being another connector. Thank you, Scott. And Scott, do you want to give our listeners a chance to log into your website? What is your website? A website?
The website is www.scotalbertson.com, Scott with 1 T, and Project 142 is www.project142.org. And also I'm on Facebook. We do a lot of promotion on there. Also LinkedIn. I'm very involved in LinkedIn, which is a wonderful marketing tool. A lot of artists do not touch LinkedIn, which is shame on them because it's free.
And you really are. I know that we often go back and forth on.
Right. And LinkedIn is a wonderful platform because it's mostly business people. And so you get access to all these different businesses. A lot of nonprofits are on Gotham Whales on LinkedIn. You know, Paul Ponders is on LinkedIn. So I definitely am very active on LinkedIn, and I encourage especially people that are doing this kind of work such as you, Paul, and PJ to go on and utilize LinkedIn.
I totally agree on that. Absolutely. Now, PJ, do you have any final words and any login informational type things you want to let our listeners know?
Yeah, I have many words. It all boils down to the one, which is the connections. Scott was mentioning nations and beyond. I said earlier about Ran Levi Yamamori being from Israel. He's the filmmaker. And Chiara is from Geneva, Switzerland. And Ran just won an award at the Japan Film Festival on his documentary, Bridging Troubled Waters. So it's amazing how it is spanning out into the nations, all this connections, and I am riding this wave and enjoying every minute of it. One more connection that a friend of ours, Paul Solano, he's a scuba diver. And Scott, you share the same love for the scuba diving. A new scuba diver, which is James Norris. He has handy-capable fitness, and we're having talks about getting in the water together. So hoping you can maybe join us, Scott. Fascinating gentleman. James Norris was our teammate in the Be Fit Challenge this past year. Amazing man, doing great things for another nonprofit. And I'm really blessed to know that gentleman as well.
Without a doubt. Thank you, PJ, for that. That's a very nice shout out for James Norris, a handy-capable fitness, who has also been featured on a previous episode of Paul Ponders. And if you have a chance, please log into that episode. I forget what number that was. Could be number 5 or number 6. Also, if you have a chance, log into the Gotham Whale episode of Paul Ponders and all. So again, Scot Albertson, thank you so much for being part of this episode. We've gotten through it. Please say hi to Chip Fabrizi. Hopefully we'll have a chance to meet Chip one day. There we go. Nice on cue, PJ. Very good. Well done. Very good. Where's my hat?
Thank you for having me, and thank you, PJ, for letting me be involved in last Wednesday night. Thanks for going to the ball game. I had a ball Saturday at Fenway.
Last week was truly a joy, and I thank you for all your help, your support, driving back and forth. Simply amazing, and glad you're in this wheelhouse.
Without a doubt. So with that, everyone, I want to thank you for listening to another fascinating episode of #Paul Ponders. Thanks for rating, reviewing, and subscribing. Really, just thanks for being part of the PS&All marketing group. If you have a chance, please look up Scot Albertson on his YouTube channel, soon to be Dedication Around the Nation. So with all this stated, everyone, enjoy the rest of your day. #Indeed. I trust that you have enjoyed Paul Ponders. Again, my name is Paul Solano of PS&All Marketing Group, and I may be reached via email at paul@paulponders.com to do some more pondering. Many thanks to my longtime collaborative friend and associate, Chalonzo Amos of Pod Pro Entertainment, in bringing you our fun, exciting, informative podcasts. You rock, Techie Chalonzo. With PS&All Marketing Group, I created a side gig to connect you and get things done. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me at paul@paulponders.com with any questions. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Paul Ponders. Follow us on Twitter at Paul Ponders Pod. Follow us on Instagram at Paul Ponders Podcast. Thank you again for listening to Paul Ponders, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, our website, paulponders.com, or wherever you stream your podcasts. Subscribe, stream, rate, and review our shows. Your ratings and reviews help our show reach new audiences. Produced by Pod Pro Entertainment, Paul Ponders lives within a network of podcasts located at podproentertainment.com. The new radio. Until we meet again, my friend, stay well. Indeed.